This is my detailed development sketch from first year VisCom. First year class of industrial design, welcome back to another video, episode 4 of the Sketchbook Club reviews. From here forward, these videos are going to be posted on my website. You can go to www.dylantorville.com/sketchbook and you'll be able to find the previous 3 episodes there for viewing at any time. Today we're going to be going over group 4, and in group 4 we have Daniel, Connor, Parissa, Roland, and Tay. I believe it's Tay. So first things first, we're going to start off in alphabetical order. So we're going to be starting with Daniel. You like my aloe vera plant, by the way? It's pretty cool. I also tore my LCL this week, so I've been hobbling around for a couple days. It's a good thing I can make this video sitting down. All right, Daniel. The sketch that I picked for you is the one where you have 2 hands holding what looks like bottles. Maybe it's a beer can. To start off, good viewpoints that you've chosen. You've chosen a viewpoint that's going to clearly show off whatever the product is that you're holding, which is very informative and good to see. Next thing, it's the actual products themselves, the bottles that you have, actually have really good clean line weight, which is a good thing. Looks like you've been putting in work and looks like you've been practicing. So good job on that. I encourage you to keep it up. The thing is, though, with this sketch, that while the product itself is very clean, the hands themselves are distracting, and I think they're distracting in this case in a negative way. We talked about in this week in VisCom where you want to tailor your line weight and tailor your sketching to focus on what you want the viewer to look at and kind of just disregard everything else. So there's no clear hierarchy in this sketch, and that can kind of be distracting. An easy way to get around this is, in the event that I have a product that I have to hold in my hand, super simple way to get around this. Take an actual product that's similar in size, hold it in your hand like this, hold it out in front of you, and just take a picture of it, okay? Just go. That's really all you have to do, and that gives you a reference point to draw on, or even then just hold your hand out in front as if you're holding something like this, and you can kind of walk around that. So I'm going to show you how to tailor the line weight and kind of use that hand technique to get a good sketch across, okay? So very loosely, very quick, bottle here, finding my center point. I'm going to taper it up to a smaller lip just up here. It's pretty close to what you had already sketched, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand, hold it out in front of me, kind of like I'm holding my coffee mug, so I can see how my hands are going to behave. And I'm keeping all my line weight super light right now, okay? That's a really important thing. So thumb sits about there, rough ellipse for the pad of the thumb, another ellipse for the next digit. See a little bit more of finger number 3. It's down just a bit, and we see a bit of the knuckle on that. The pinky finger sits almost at the bottom. Wrist is just an ellipse. And I want the focus to be on the bottle, not the hand, right? Love sketching thumbs. I have a really good thumb story on YouTube that you can watch if you want. It's pretty good. I almost cut my thumb off.
He was screaming help. He sliced his thumb really badly, cleaning a coffee press.
I've cut my thumb.
He's now at the hospital getting stitches.
So I'm being very loose with this. Okay, that's the extent to the line weight that I'm going to keep my thumbs at. Now I'm going to go in, add some heavy line weight. Another thing that I would do is encourage you to do a bit of contouring on this thing, just for the sake of it. It's good to get in that habit. So really a very simple thing to do, but it's taking care of how you treat the line weight in your sketch and focusing your good line weight on something that you actually want your viewer to pay attention to. In this case, we're not designing hands, we're designing the bottle. So obviously more of the line weight should be focused on the bottle, not the hand. So Daniel, thank you so much for the sketch. Looked through the other 3 that you had submitted there, and they look really good. Keep it up, keep practicing. Don't stop. Dedicate yourself to it, and you'll be good to go. On to the next one. We have Connor. Connor, glue guns, pretty cool, man. I like the sketch. You've got good perspective with this, which is good to see. It's always encouraging to see that you understand perspective at this point in the game, so good job on that. I also like how you're varying your views. You have one view where it's kind of like a front-on view, and the other one where it's lying down, kind of in a different orientation. In terms of your viewpoint selection, I think you've done a really good job because you're showcasing both sides of the product. The one thing that, again, I'm going to get you on, I feel like I'm going to get most people on this still, is line weight. The sketch that you have here, while I can see some construction line weight, which is good to see that that's still very light, bulk of the line weight on the actual product and the sketch itself is all the same. It's like a mono line, what I like to call it. It's all the same thickness all the way around. It looks a little odd in the sense that there's no contouring to the actual sketch and the product itself. So as a quick example, select the bottom view that you have where the glue gun is lying down on its side, because that is a perfect sketch to show how that contouring can work. So breaking it down into simple components, there's the top part, and then there's the handle. I'm just going to rough in some of the details that you have, just for the sake of this. This sketch will not be the same thickness all the way around. You know, it's not going to be this thick around the entire product. It's going to taper in because obviously you need a handle to hold on to that thing, right? So I'm just going to fake that glue gun in there. I'm going to go in and I'm going to start adding a bit of contouring and a bit of line weight. I'm going to simplify the rest of the form, but I want to show you how to contour and detail this handle, okay? Very lightly putting in kind of the rest of my line weight around here. Now the bottom of the handle is going to have shadow because it's probably sitting against the table. So that means heavier line weight, right? So I'm going slow. I'm not going fast. I'm not rushing. That I've reached the top, I can slowly add a bit of line weight there. And it's this area right here, that back ridge, that based off of how you sketched it, it just looks like it's a slice, you know, like someone's taken a piece of foam to the bandsaw and just cut it out. And that's kind of it, which in this case is incorrect. You know, easy way to work around that is we're going to use that trick that Catherine has taught us, where we use a double line to simulate a curved surface or a curved contour, just like that. It gives the illusion that there's a radius there. You can see now that the way that that new handle is being treated looks a lot more practical than if something was super thick, you know? And this may still not be perfectly 110% accurate, but I think it's close enough that you guys get the idea. A good glue gun to sketch is the DeWalt glue gun. I'll put a picture of it up here in the video. As a DeWalt product, it has a lot of kind of nifty contours and detail features that may be aesthetic, may be functional, I don't really know. So yeah, give that a shot. So Connor, thanks a bunch for your sketch. Consider treating it a bit like this. Focus on projecting a realistic sketch and projecting realistic detailing. But keep it up, you know, you can always take your stuff to the next level. So don't get comfortable in the way that you sketch right now. Always continue to push yourself. And that goes for everybody in this video. It goes for everybody in first year. Don't get comfortable with the way that you're currently sketching. Always be trying to push yourself. So Connor, thanks a bunch so much. And on to the next one. Parissa, really good sketch overall. Good job with your proportions. Looked through some of your other stuff here and pretty good at those hands. It's really good to see. And the glasses too. The glasses sketch that you have here is pretty gnarly. I'm focusing on the shoes because I love shoes. Good sketch overall, you know, just based off what I can see. You've done a really good job with proportion. Very good that you understand that, because shoes are naturally a weird thing to sketch. And I also love the varying line weight that you have. You know, there's thick lines, there's thin lines. It fades out, does that little like a swoopy thing. Really good to see. I can tell that you probably sketch really well artistically, but I think the way that you can sketch as a designer can go to the next level if you just make a conscious effort to kind of adopt a bit more of the industrial design sketching techniques. While the shoe itself is very good, let's add some movement to it, you know? A shoe is almost always in motion. A really good way to make a shoe interesting and dynamic is to break up and make it look like it's being stepped in or being run in, or it's kicking something, right? A really good way to practice doing shoes is to do very quick and very loose and dirty shoe sketches just like this. You know, you're filling up a page as much as you can, doing varying perspectives, varying viewpoints, you know, you're getting all over and just really fleshing out different proportions. You also are effectively teaching yourself different ways of sketching a shoe, right? where you're not locked into any hard geometry or hard rules. This is a shoe sketch that I started the other day, and you can see that even in this bottom one here, I have the toe kind of kicking up, the heel is a bit oversized. This one here is coming down, big arc. This one's kind of hidden in the back, you know, and I'd like to add some marker to that and make it a really cool sketch, but that's a good way that we can add dynamic movement and line weight and stuff to a sketch. So then you may say, well, how do I set that up? Very, very simply. Okay, breaking a shoe down into simple components, it's more of a circular shape. You have your mid arc and then an ellipse, and that's effectively a bottom view of a shoe, right? To mimic that viewpoint that you have here, I'm gonna freehand an ellipse, more of a circle, and then I'm gonna freehand a much larger one, connect these down. That's gonna be the orientation of the arc of my foot. Connect them up, and always project the heel up first, then you can worry about the toe. And if I want the toe to kick up, all I have to do is sketch an ellipse, kind of a swoopy ellipse, and then project up a center point off that. Okay, and now I can go in and start adding a bunch more details. Maybe we'll put a bit of a toe cap on there. Very simply, I've broken that shoe down into something that just looks like it has a bit more movement. It's a bit more interesting, you know? And if you wanted to, you could kind of really rough in a shadow for this shoe. Again, very simple. You just start adding the detail to this sketch. You know, you've got a little swoop at the back, and this stuff does come a lot easier with practice over time. Really effective to use contour lines to describe the shape of your sole here. So those contour lines can show you stuff that a simple line may not be able to. It's effectively giving you this base form that you have that you can then start adding details and features and all this kind of stuff. This kind of goes back to what I was saying the other week about doing a sketch quickly, is that in a very short period of time, we've been able to construct something like this, which realistically has taken me 8 minutes and 30 seconds at the time of the video that's on the camera. So yeah, that's how I would add just a bit of dynamic line weight and a bit of dynamic movement to your shoe sketch. So, Parissa, thank you so much for the sketch. Had to flip through some of the other ones that you had here, and they look really, really good. Please keep it up, don't stop. All of you have a lot of potential, and all it takes is just a bit of an extra push just to take your stuff to the next level, and we're gonna move on to the next one. Next up, I'm going to be lumping Roland and Tay into the same sketch because the ones that I've picked for both of you, according to what's on my computer here. Roland, you've done this power drill looking thing, and Tay, I've picked the same sketch for you. I think both of you have strengths in different areas that maybe if you guys like FaceTimed or collaborated together and did some sketching together, you guys could probably bang out some pretty gnarly stuff. First off, Roland, let's go over your sketch. Really good work persisting with the detail features in your sketch. What I mean by that is, especially in the front, like the chuck, you've even taken the time to put the effort of the knurling detail on the front part of the chuck there where you put a drill bit in. Or it's also just good to see that you're putting extra detail in and around the body, such as like little holes for maybe it's screws or something. Good to see that you're doing that, Roland. Keep it up. Another good thing is that it's good to see initial perspective in the sketch. I do think that the perspective gets a little lost throughout the rest of the sketch. Maybe it started off okay, but as you kind of move forward, it got a bit hairy and a bit fuzzy. No one's perfect. What I think we need to work on going forward is projecting as much as possible and projecting it all at once before you actually start going in and adding details and sketches to your item. And Tay, your sketch is pretty much complementary to what Roland has, okay? Tay, you've got a good sense of perspective with your sketch. Really good to see that. I like how you've broken it down into just very simple, basic components. It seems like you understand the basics of constructing something in perspective. And there's also some good variation in line weight. Obviously, it can get better and it can be improved, but that's why we're here. That's why we're learning, is to always continuously improve. One thing, in contrast to what I said about Roland's sketch, Tay, I think you need to work on detailing just a bit more. You know, spend the time at it. If it's an extra 10, 15 minutes, it's not the end of the world. Just put in a bit more effort with the detailing on the actual body of the product itself, whether that's with contour lines, maybe indicating little fasteners like little holes for screws, something like that could work well. And again, obviously project as much as possible. So Roland and Tay, we're gonna do a very simple, very crude power drill sketch. And we're going to break it down into simple components so that we're projecting everything so that Roland's happy. And then we're also going to add a bit of detail so that Tay is happy. And so that both of you guys can see what exactly I'm talking about. Start off at the base here. That's the base for our battery. Project that up as much as possible. Try and find a square plane at the back here. And I'm going to bring that forward just a touch. Do the same thing on the front plane. If you're kind of following along with what I'm doing, I'm using these to build ellipses that is going to be the top part of the drill. I'm using that geometry, basing it off the bottom so that everything is kind of proportionally accurate. Now I'm going to build out the bottom of the drill as if we had a battery attached to it, projecting more details in the base here. Now I'm going to worry about my handle. So I'm going to break this into a bit more of a squarish plane. And just kind of bring it up. Now I can go in and start in this front of the ellipse here, right in this area. That's where we're gonna see the details for the trigger, right? I kind of know that the trigger is a bit of a rectangular shape, so I'm kind of just loosely just gonna project that out and bring my contour line around there. I'm gonna worry about projecting the rest of this forward. One thing that I would be careful of is, especially when you're projecting ellipses that are too close or that are close together, so you don't go crazy fast. You know, it's okay to slow yourself down. Just make sure that you're creating the thickness all the way around as even as possible. I'm going to worry about cleaning up some of these lines here, but not going in super hard and adding a lot of line weight right off the bat. If you've paid attention to Catherine's videos and stuff that we've produced so far, you should be able to kind of understand the different techniques that I'm employing here. And even adding radius and radii to elements of your product as opposed to just a single line is a very simple and effective way to add detail to it, all right? And let's do a bit of detailing on the head of the chuck here. Roland, you did a really good job doing the knurling detail on that sketch. Really good to see that. I'm not going to imitate that here, but you're more than welcome to if you want. Actually, no, I am going to do it. Don't be afraid to use contour lines such as that to help describe your item. Roland, we projected every single item on this sketch. We projected the ellipses up at the top, the battery at the bottom, and the middle portion here. None of it was freehand, okay? And I want that to be something that you take away from this, is that we're constructing as much as we can. And then Tay wants you to take away just the little details that we're adding, the little surface contours and little detail features that just add to the realism of a sketch, you know? Whether it's something as simple as a little screw head, or if we were doing an exploded view, you could say, yeah, a little screw goes down in there, and I'll add a quick little arrow just to detail that. You know, add a bit of motion to it. So Roland and Tay, thank you so much for both of your guys' sketches. It was really good to see them, and it's also good to see the progress that everyone here collectively has made. It's very encouraging to see. I like it a lot, and that just about wraps up episode 4. Alright guys, everyone in group 4 and everyone who's watched the videos, thank you so much for tuning in, for listening, for watching. It's encouraging to see where a lot of you guys are going, and you know, like this is an example of where I started when I was sketching and doing industrial design stuff. I got an 86 out of 100 on this sketch. You can see the ellipses are not perfect, the line weight's not great, the annotations are a bit weird. The overall product itself is super simple, and it's because I wasn't challenging myself. So important thing is to challenge yourself as much as possible. Take risks with your sketches, because that's ultimately the best way that you're going to learn. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes up next week for the sketches. And if you're interested in really good resources from former students, the Process Podcast had their 50th episode this week with one of the people that graduated with me, one of my best friends, Sean Plattock, episode 50, and he is an absolute beast at sketching. So I encourage you to listen to that and just hear a bit of what he has to say. Check it out. and we'll see you in the next one. Catch you. Creativity from the side is born. The Process Podcast.